gone down again. So today is another really interesting day for the stock market, and I'm going to explain to you some dynamics that have shifted since we talked last night, and what the experts are saying and what it looks like we're dealing with here in this market. So get comfortable, buckle up a seatbelt. We're going to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm your friendly neighborhood finance professor. On the Black Financial Channel, we are obsessed with Black wealth and Black economics. We talk about it every single day, sometimes as much as 10 times a day, because we are B1. B1 means we are Black first. Black first means we put our community at the top of our priority list. Black first also means that we understand that changing the culture and making ourselves experts on wealth as a community is the key to our liberation, the key to our success. We train our children, we train our loved ones. That's how you show love, is you prepare your kids and your family for the future. If you like the B1 philosophy and that's your thing, then put a hashtag B in the number one in the chat, hashtag B1. And also shout out the city that you're from. I always like to see what city everybody's coming from. I see my name is Corey, brother. I see you in here every day, man, and I love you so much. Aubrey Smook and Tina Harmon and K-Shine, and Kitty, and Andre, and Kendall J. Washington. So good to see you. All right, so let's talk about this stock market thing. This morning, how many of you, give me a yes or no, how many of you looked at the stock market today and said, oh, crap, here we go again? How many of you looked at the market and saw that right now the Dow is down another 357 points? That's in addition to a massive 1,200-point drop yesterday. It's been just a real bloodbath, and this is not a surprise. Everyone expected this to happen. Most of the people who track the market know this kind of thing is going to take place, and because bear markets do happen, recessions are always going to occur. The Hermetic principles tell us that the ups must have downs and the downs must have ups, and that's what it is. But some ups and downs are worse than others. And there's this documentary on Netflix called Boom Bust Boom that I watched a long time ago. I don't know if it's still on Netflix or not. But on Boom Bust Boom, they actually had these Nobel Prize winning economists talking about the economy. And then they had these puppets that would come in the intermission. The puppets would sing a song, like an economic song. It was the coolest thing in the world, and I loved it. And anyway, in this documentary, they talked about how the interference of the Federal Reserve, what it does is it exacerbates the ups and downs of the market. It causes prosperity, but then it also can cause a crash. So ultimately, you're dealing with the bust and the boom bust boom. That's just what it is. That's how it's going to be. It's tough to deal with, I know, but honestly, this is really a great opportunity if you look at it in the right perspective. Now, here's the deal. Look, we're about maybe 1 or 2% away from an official bear market. A bear market is a 20% decline off the previous high. The high of the Dow is about 36,000 or so, if I'm not mistaken, and now we're hovering around 31,000. So we've seen a massive drop. I guess when we hit about 28 or 29,000, that's when you're kind of getting into that bear market territory. The average bear market lasts about 14 months. When I was going through my dissertation work and I literally looked at tons and tons of stock market data. That's all I would do 10 hours a day for about 6 years is go through stock market data. And then I did that as a faculty member when I was teaching at Syracuse University. And one of the things I can tell you is that bear markets historically, pay attention now, I need y'all to listen. Bear markets historically are the time where the most money is made. A lot of people, when they look at the Great Depression, they think, oh my God, that was so terrible. Oh, holy crap, I would have hated to be an investor at that time. If you had a little extra cash during the Great Depression, that was your opportunity to get really rich, because a lot of people did that. A lot of people bought a ton of stock during the Great Depression, and then World War II comes along. Suddenly that stock you bought for $10 is worth $200. Now you're rich. Now you're the Kennedys. The Kennedys got rich during the Depression. A lot of families got rich during that time. So remember that there's a gift and a curse. Good times and bad times all have a gift and a curse. The good times, the gift of the good times is you get the gratification that comes in the moment. The gift of the bad times is that you get to position yourself for future gratification. So if you have the ability to appreciate delayed gratification, then the bad times are as beneficial to you as the good times. The bad times, economically, that's the chance for you to buy those stocks at a super cheap price and really dig in and get ready and prepare for the future. The challenge with this market is that nobody really knows if we've hit a bottom or not. It could keep going down. It could keep going down. Don't think that because it's been hit so hard that that's all that there is. No. You're at 31,000. There's still another 31,000 points that the market could lose. I mean, theoretically speaking, it could keep going down and 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 down. Do not get that out of your head. Do not forget that. However, the further down it goes, the more likely it is to come back up. And also, you're going to have these little spurts, these little situations where, you're going to have some rallies in the middle of that. You're going to have some times where it's going to really do really well. One day it's going to make you feel like everything's good. And just yesterday when we were talking, I was telling you guys it's a lot like that crazy relationship you had with the girl that you really loved, but she was crazy and you were crazy too. So y'all just kind of went back and forth from trying to kill each other to wanting to have sex again. I don't know if anybody ever had a relationship like that in their 20s, but or maybe some of y'all are doing it in your 30s and 40s, and you're too grown for that. But either way, though, that's what this market is. It's a bad relationship that has its good moments. And eventually you're going to get into a good relationship again, a healthy situation where there's economic growth, where there's prosperity, where inflation is under control and everything gets better. And as I move forward, and I'm going to keep tell you guys a little bit about what's going on right now. And at the end, I'll share a stock or two that I like, that I actually invested in. So do me a favor before we do that. Could you please hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button. Also, just a reminder, today's the last day to get the discount on the Black Wealth Summit that we're having in New Orleans, July 1st through the 3rd. It's going to be right during the Essence Music Fest. So it's a chance for you to become the perfect investor in real estate. We want to help you become the perfect investor in entrepreneurship with Lene Javette. We're going to help you become the perfect investor when it comes to stocks. That's what I'm going to cover. Julian Gordon's going to cover real estate. If you know anything about Julian, you know he's the best, one of the best in the game. He's right up there with the absolute icons in this field. And so that's what we're going to do. And my wife even wants to do speed dating because she said, "Boy, you're always so serious about learning. We need to have some fun." So she wants to actually do a speed dating, networking kind of social thing on Friday, and then Saturdays when we dig in and do the deep dive. On Monday we have the VIP day where you can sit down, we can talk business. I can help you promote your business, whatever it is you want to do. So feel free to go to BoyceWatkins.com and click on the link, and you can join us in New Orleans. It'll be a lot of fun. The Essence Fest is amazing. So I hope you'll consider joining us. All right. So anyway, so here's some things that I saw. Target and Walmart are two big economic indicators because Target and Walmart have insights into what's going on in the economy. Now, I hope this isn't TMI, but I told you guys just as a public service announcement, last week I got my first little, what they call it, it's a colonoscopy. So let's not visualize that too much, but y'all know what the colonoscopy is. And the reason I publicly announced the colonoscopy is because I met a brother who's a great doctor. His PhD is in public health, and he was telling me about how many Black men are dying from colon cancer. And my grandmother, my beloved grandmother, Felicia, who we named our Panther, our Black Panther for the Black Business School, is named Felicia after my grandmother who taught me wealth for the first time. She also had colon cancer. So that's something that's near and dear to my heart. It's something I wanted to warn you guys about. That's why I took the really embarrassing, weird, humiliating step of announcing that I went and got a colonoscopy. And just for the record, it wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible at all. They put me to sleep. They woke me up and it's like, oh, it's time to go. Okay, great. I didn't even know it happened, honestly. It wasn't that bad. But anyway, why do I bring that up? Well, I bring that up because the way that the thing works is they go in there and they got this really great microscope where they can see polyps and stuff that might turn into cancer. And that's what they're looking for, right? They've got an insight into what's happening inside your body so they can tell you when the warning signs are coming. Well, Target and Walmart and Home Depot are kind of like the colonoscopy of the U.S. economy. The Target, Walmart, and Home Depot, when they report their numbers, investors pay attention when they're trying to figure out what's going on with this economy, what's going on with corporate America, what's going on with the American consumer. So they're kind of like, okay, so what did your earnings tell you? What did your reports kind of say? How are the consumers acting? How are they feeling? So Target, Walmart came back with some interesting information. They came back and they said, look, our earnings weren't as strong as we thought they're going to be because this inflation thing is crazy. It's out of control. Our costs keep going up. It's really hard to do business right now relative to what it was in the past. That tells you that on the producer side, that there is a heavy type of inflation in terms of the cost of goods sold. But then they also said that our consumers are not spending as much. Their demand for our products is dropping because they're feeling the effects of inflation too. They're dealing with the price of bread going up. They're dealing with the price of food going up. They're dealing with the price of gas going up. So they're not spending as much. That leads to a deeper concern. So that says a couple things. One, so it said three things, three pieces of information come out of that. One, producers and people doing business are dealing with inflation. Two, the consumer is dealing with inflation. Three, Because of inflation, consumers are not buying as much as they used to, which means that you're talking about a reduction in demand, which is a deep, deep concern. Again, because we're doing the colonoscopy on the economy, right? We're trying to really get in there and see what's going on. Well, the warning sign is you've got two effects. You've got increases in inflation from every front, and you've got a reduction in consumer demand, which says recession, recession, recession. And remember, I told you guys before, we talked about this a lot. Basically, when you have a reduction in consumer demand or a recession and you have inflation at the same time, that is stagflation. That's being attacked by two enemies at the same time. The Fed is now officially fighting two battles on two different fronts. And here's the other thing too. The way you can kind of think about it is the relationship between the producer and the consumer. And I told you guys that if you want your kids to be prepared for the future economically, make sure that they're on both sides of the equation. Black people are brainwashed. This is how they steal your wealth. This is how they create that bad culture. BET made me so mad because they in their little ad, they're like, well, this is the culture. This is the culture. I'm like, what culture? The culture that's getting black men locked up on RICO charges for going to prison for 100 years? Or the culture of black men getting hooked on drugs? The culture of disrespecting women? The culture of throwing your money away? What culture are you talking about? Because what I'm talking about here is when you're talking about economic culture, your child should not just be a consumer. They also want to be a producer. But the interesting relationship between the producer and the consumer is this. It's like we're connected and we have a relationship, but it could easily go bad at any point because when you're on the same team and you're kind of doing this thing together, like in a marriage or something, if something really goes wrong, sometimes you can have the blame game pop up. Sometimes that relationship between the producer and the consumer can get a little fragile, where inflation pops in, right? Inflation's the uninvited guest to the party. Inflation's like, I'm here, right? And the prices are going up. The consumer's pissed. The consumer's like, man, I'm not buying your crap. Prices are too high. And the producer's like, look, it ain't my fault. The supply costs are going up. And so then what the producer has to decide is, okay, who's going to eat this extra cost? You understand? Like if you go out to dinner with your friend and you find out that the meal is 20% more expensive than what you thought, who's going to eat this cost? Who's going to pay for this? Right? So the producer, Target and Walmart have basically said, we were eating this cost. We were eating this increase in the cost of supplies, and so that we didn't have to pass it to the consumer. Give me a yes if you're following what I'm saying. Target, Walmart said, look, we were eating this cost. It's too hard. The burden is too much. So what we're going to do now is we're going to find creative ways to pass the cost to the consumer. Well, what is that? Well, that's more inflation. That's going to be more inflation on the back of the consumer because Target and Walmart have pretty much stated, we're not going to eat all this. We ate it last quarter. It hurt our numbers. Our shareholders are pissed. So we're going to pass all this down to the consumer. So again, that relationship between producer and consumer, which is like a husband-wife relationship, now you're playing the blame game, which is going to further undermine the nature of the relationship. Remember, I told you my wife is a licensed therapist. We talk about relationship stuff all the time. I encourage everybody to get therapy, by the way. If you want to be a healthy Black person, you got to get some kind of help and therapy, especially in your relationships, because your relationships are a huge financial asset. And one of the things my wife said, she spoke in Detroit this past month at the One Africa Unity Summit. And one thing that she said was that the way empires crumble, the keys to maintaining the empire come down to respect, trust, and a plan. And so that word trust is important because when things go bad, that's when trust starts to break down. That's when respect starts to break down. That's when chaos starts to emerge. So the consumer and the producer are in this relationship where the consumers show up and they buy, the producers make their money, everybody's happy. But now that you've got this bear called inflation popping in, now the producers are like, yo, we're going to start charging you more money than we did before. The consumers are angry. The trust is gone. They're like, look, we trusted you to give us a Walmart to give us low prices. Now you're giving us this crap. I'm not shopping with you anymore. So as there's a reduction in trust, there's also a reduction in the amount of commerce that occurs. People aren't connected anymore, just like dating. Like you get mad at each other, you don't speak to each other anymore. Everybody's losing. So the consumer and the producer who are in this economic relationship where the trust has been violated because of this thing called inflation are now going to stop speaking to each other as much as they did before. That only increases the likelihood that you have a recession because now Walmart has the problem of saying we're not making as much money. Their shareholders are upset. Their bankers aren't willing to extend loans as much. The whole economic energy of this economy starts to die down. It starts to go down. Okay, so effectively, you're going to have a recession. You're probably going to have stagflation. Existing home sales went down for the first time since the start of the pandemic. Jobless claims are starting to go up for the first time in a while. People are no longer buying the dip. Again, this is all connected to this lack of trust issue I'm talking about. The investors aren't buying the dip anymore. They used to have faith. They used to have this economic religion, like, yo, I'm going to buy the dip, and when the dip comes back, it's going to be, I'll make that bread. You're going to put some respect on my name. Now you're just dipping. It's like dip, baby, dip. You're dipping, and then you're dipping, and then you're dipping. So you keep buying the dip, believing that eventually things are going to turn around, and they don't. And what do? And so ultimately, I would encourage you to just kind of understand that buying the dip really doesn't work the way it did before. Also, you're going to have probably some additional drops in the stock market over the next several months, because a lot of those new investors who jumped in and were buying everything they could get their hands on, they're starting to pull back again, because the trust has been violated. They don't trust that the dip is going to come through for them like it did before. And I told you guys, whenever whenever trust disappears in a relationship, things start to fall apart. So the economy is just like romantic love. It's literally the same dynamic. If there's trust, then there's lots of energy, there's lots of commerce, there's lots of connection. But when the trust goes away, then you start to see people separate and start to get scared of each other, and things start to slow down. So this is just a natural part of the cycle, though. This is what's going to happen, and this is what I'm seeing when I look at the economy. Now, before I move on, what I'm going to do is I want to actually talk about a stock or two that I like. And then I'm going to open up my account to remember what I just bought recently, so that I can tell you guys specifically what I'm buying myself. Let me see if I can log in here. But anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. And I hope you guys will consider coming to the Black Wealth Summit. I guarantee you're going to learn a whole lot if you haven't done it yet. Also, you'll know last night we did Powernomics training, which is free in the Black Business School. Don't ever let anybody tell you that it costs money to join the Black Business School. You can join for free. The Powernomics training costs you absolutely nothing. And Powernomics is probably one of the first principles that every Black child needs to learn when they're little. Dr. Claude Anderson actually joined us, and all these lectures, I've done about 40 lectures now on this topic, and you can actually get copies of all the lectures if you go to the drboycebookclub.com. I believe is it the drboycebookclub.com? Let me see, the drboycebookclub.com. Yeah, if you go to the drboycebookclub.com, you can get a copy of all those lectures, and you can join us Wednesday night for the live lectures, which are totally free. All right, so a stock that I like that I just bought. I bought some PayPal. I like PayPal because right now where the price point is, I feel like there's plenty of upside. But remember this, when you're talking about upside, I'm talking about long-term upside. I'm not talking about 2 weeks from now. I'm not talking about 3 months from now. I'm not even talking about a year from now. I'm talking about long-term. I bought it. I put it to the side. I'm going to just sit on it. The goose with the golden egg, and I'm just going to wait for things to happen. Remember that if you go back to 2016, you had a major dip in the market back then too. In fact, in 2017, the whole crypto market just crashed and went straight to hell. If you had consistently started buying back then, when the conditions were similar to what they are right now, you would have gotten rich in about 5 years. If you spent the same amount of money that you spent maybe on rent or on your car note or on going out to eat or going to the club. If you've done that consistently, literally in 5 years, I mean, America is one of the few places in this country where you can go from poor to rich in five to 10 years. That's pretty phenomenal. It's pretty awesome. Now, let's say that you were really lucky. Let's say you went back to the year 2000, the last time, when the market really had a horrible crash, when they had the tech bubble, and it seemed like the whole world was coming to an end. If you had consistently started buying stock back then, how many of you remember the year 2000? Anybody old enough to even, were you even close to being an adult in the year 2000, maybe in high school or beyond? Give me a yes in the chat if you're an OG and you remember the year 2000. Well, if you started buying stock at that time, even if you were, I kid you not, even if you were just randomly picking a new stock every week and consistently doing that, and let's say putting the same amount of money in that you were putting into like going out to eat. Let's say every time you went out to eat and spent $12, you bought $12 worth of stock, you would have no financial problems right now. Your economic situation would be absolutely perfect. You would be well ahead of all of your friends. So this is not a hard problem to solve. This is, and y'all know me, I'm Dr. Boyce, Uncle Boyce. So I mix my scholarship training with just, information that I just learned because I'm a Black man and I see what our families do. And I'll tell you, I go back to that BET commercial. I'm going to do a whole conversation about BET or something. I got to do a whole podcast about it. But I got so furious because I was watching this ad from BET, this big white owned corporation that claims to control Black culture. And the whole ad, they kept saying the culture, the culture, the culture. We're doing it for the culture. We're doing it for the culture. This is the culture. And I said, I'll be damned if these oppressors are telling you what your culture needs to be and giving you a culture that is harmful to you. I said, I thought about right now, you got all these rappers getting popped on RICO charges, facing 100 years in prison, because they were bragging about, like they shot somebody or whatever. And I'm not saying they deserve to go to jail, nothing like that. But I'm saying, they're dying. They're getting killed. They're going to prison. And then on top of that, they're throwing their money away. Like they're getting on Instagram, showing off, $30,000 chains that they bought from these jewelers that don't even like them. And I really just think that overall, when you're talking about wealth, you really have to create your own culture in your household. I thanked my mother yesterday. I said, Mama, thank you so much. It was 2 days ago. I'm sorry. I said, Mama, thank you. She said, thank you for what? I said, thank you for creating our independent culture in our household and not giving a damn about what anybody else was doing down the street. In our culture, in our household, not that our house was perfect. We had challenges like everybody else. But one thing my parents did that was right was they said, I don't care what everybody else is doing. This is how we do things in this house. We believe in education. If you don't educate yourself, you're stupid. We believe in hard work. If you ain't ready to work for it, then you're going to fail. We believe in so you save your money. You invest your money if you can. You protect your credit. At least you do things right so that you can be in a good financial situation. And because of that culture, and then the most important part was my father used to tell me that your life is your responsibility. You can't run around here blaming the white man every time you do something stupid. Don't get me wrong. White people are going to be white. They're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to take care of their own. They don't care nothing about you. And these politicians don't either. But you have to make the best decision for your life. And because of that culture, that's what made me into the person I am today. And I find it really fascinating that I have to run into hundreds of thousands of people on a regular basis who just think that that's weird. They think it's weird for a black man to say, I'm responsible for my outcomes. I make the choices that are going to be beneficial to my family. We are choosing to plan for the future. So the question I ask you is, what is your plan? Again, when my wife gave that speech at the One Africa Unity Summit, that was run by the people that made the film Hoppy, which is by Taki Grant, who's a great filmmaker. At the summit, she said the reason kingdoms fail is because you lose trust, you lose respect, and most importantly, she said, if you don't have a plan. So the question I want to ask you is, in your empire, what is your plan? Do you have a plan for your empire, or is your plan to just hope for the best, to just pray to Jesus and hope the Democrats come through and save you? Like, what is your plan? So have a plan. That's it. And that ties into investing. One of the most significant parts of that plan is a wealth plan. So if you make a wealth plan for your children right now, if you start investing consistently for your kids, again, just like in the year 2000, if you had a baby born in the year 2000, that baby's 22 years old. If you had bought that baby about $20 or $30 worth of stock every week, that baby would be entering into adulthood as a wealthy man. You would have passed the generational blessing of wealth to your child. That means they think about this. Imagine if somebody wrote you a check for $250,000 on your 25th birthday. Like, think about how differently your life would have been. Think about that would have meant no student loans. That would have meant you could buy a house whenever you want to. That means that you never have to go to work. You can quit that job whenever you want, start that business, and getting 5 or 10 grand ain't nothing but a thing, right? That's a whole different reality. So I encourage you to make a plan, create a new reality for your children. Do not think about 2022. I want you thinking about 2042. Where's my family going to be in 2042? That will allow you to get into that rare space where nobody else is living in 2042 yet. I want you to move to 2042 in your mind and say, what am I going to do in 2022 that's going to make sure me and my people are super good in 2042? It's very easy to do. You just have to shift the culture. So to hell with BET and what they say about the culture. Their culture will get your kids killed. Their culture will get your kids addicted to drugs. Their culture will get your children sent to prison for 100 years. Get your own culture where you say, we're going to go move to 2042, 2052 so that we can dominate in the future. All it takes is a plan. Understand? Build your empire with a plan. All right. That's it. I hope I didn't get too long-winded with that, but I really wanted to share that because, again, this is not just me talking about the market. There has to be a purpose. There has to be a reason why you're doing this, and it can't just be about having some extra money. That's a nice part of it, but that's level 1. Level 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is really overcoming these barriers that so many of us feel exist in our world, and they're very, very real. But you got to be ready to fight. You have to have a powernomics plan. Power, power, power. Got it? Make sense? Sound good? All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bounce on out for today. And just a reminder, if you want to do things like join the stock market investing class, we meet every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can send me questions, send me stocks you want me to look into, whatever the case may be. Just go to boycewatkins.com. You can do a free trial. First 30 days are free, and then there's a monthly fee after that. Also, there's some other stuff. We have some things on options. We have all kinds of stuff in the Black Business School. We would love to help you, and that's pretty much it. So you guys have a good day. I'm going to come back a little bit later on, maybe this afternoon or something. Me and my wife are getting ready to, it's our first 1-year wedding anniversary. And so I got the honor of marrying this beautiful Black woman. And we've done 1 year in the game. And I'm going to take her out of the country to celebrate this love. And just, again, I hope it's okay if I throw in a little bit of Uncle Boyce advice here, or not advice, just thinking, just a thought. I admire my wife so much. And I really would say that when you're picking who you want to make your biggest investment with, your biggest investment you ever make will be in your relationships or in your health and things like that. And that big investment of choosing who you want to marry or be with or whatever, really think carefully about who you pick and why you pick them. One mistake I noticed a lot of people make, is men and women, is that we want to date the person that we think is the most attractive or the most appealing to us for whatever reason, right? And I never picked like that. I picked not just based on who was the most attractive to me, but also who was the most attracted to me, right? Like I didn't just want a woman who would give me the honor of being with her and just kind of crap all over me because I'm just chasing her around and kissing her butt and she's not reciprocating. I wanted a woman who could appreciate me as much as I appreciate her. And I think the same thing is true with you ladies. You know, if you, some of us have maybe self-esteem issues or whatever, where if somebody really adores you and thinks you're amazing, you like them less because they like you so much. Has anybody ever seen that? Where there are literally people who will like someone less because they like them because of how much they like them. Right. So what happens is you end up chasing the people who don't even like you. You chase the people that are a challenge. Like the people always say, well, man wants a challenge. I didn't want a challenge. I wanted a woman where I didn't have to be mean to her to get her to like me. I wanted a woman who would say, gosh, that's a nice guy. I want to be with a nice man. Right. The women who would say, oh, well, I need a guy to just crap all over me and cuss me out and do whatever. And then I'm going to love him because I want me a gangster. I want me a thug. I want me a mean man. No, I don't want to be that man. I want to be nice to my wife, right? Why would you want to fall in love with somebody who might beat your ass just because it's a Tuesday? Like, that's not love. That's not love. That's your low self-esteem, perhaps, speaking, because maybe perhaps you feel that someone adoring you, someone being deeply in love with you, means something's wrong with them because you inherently maybe think something's wrong with you. Like, clearly, if you like me that much, then you must not be worth anything because I'm not worth anything. Right. And so that's my logic. That's my 2 cents. So ultimately, I would say that, people joked that they made fun of me because they could tell I put my wife on a pedestal. And you're damn right I did. And I told her, I said, I got married not because I was eager to get married. I was very happy as a single man. When you're single and you have money and stuff, it's not hard to find a companionship. Let's say that. I said, I married you because you're you, because you are you. And this is something that I am doing because of how unique you are to me, right? And I would say maybe for women and men too, I think this applies across genders. Look for that person who sees you in that way, who values you in that way, not just somebody who just happens to be the best looking person you can be with. Because sometimes, like if you're chasing some guy who's because he's got a lot of money or maybe he's famous or whatever, some of those guys are pricks. Some of those guys, you got to marry a senator or a famous rapper, but he's not treating you very well. Why would you want to do that? Why would you sign yourself up for misery just so you can sit next to somebody, right? The only time I think that you do that is for the same reason that we go work for white people. Sometimes because we don't value ourselves, we need to be next to something that we do value in order to validate ourselves, all right? Like I am a better man because I'm sitting next to the prettiest girl in the room, or I'm a better woman because I'm married to this guy who's rich and famous and successful, right? But you are enough. You are worthy as you are. And in my view, that's how you should also measure other people. If you see my worth and you see my value, then I'm going to value you even more because that means you're smart. that means you're smart enough to see how amazing I am. That means you're smart enough to see how awesome it is to be next to me. And that makes me adore you even more. So my wife, the nicer she is to me, the more I love her. I don't say, oh, this girl, she's being nice to me. She's lame. What's wrong with her? People do that, and that's the weirdest thing in the world to me. So I know I kind of went in a different direction with the conversation, but y'all know we're family. I just talk to you guys about whatever's on my mind. But I really, as I'm approaching this 1 year anniversary, I can tell you with complete certainty, 5 years ago, I didn't know if I was going to get married. If you go back and look at videos 5 years ago where I was talking about getting married, I said, I don't know if I'm going to get married and nobody's going to make me do it. But if I get married, I'm going to marry a black woman. That's it. I'm not going to, no one else need to apply. And so as I kind of think about that, I'm just sharing this information in hopes that it'll help somebody who maybe is looking for a message that's a little bit different from some of the other stuff that you get. Because I really want to see you happy. I want to see you find what you deserve. So start by valuing yourself, do the work, get the therapy, whatever it is you need to do, overcome the trauma from your childhood. Maybe if your father wasn't there, figure out how that's affecting you. And then at that point, you can move forward in a way where you're complete and you're whole, and you don't need another person to make you whole. Like, I don't need to be next to that person to feel better about myself, because I already feel good about myself. And I want to be with people who feel good about me too. I'm not going to go chase around an asshole. Assholes don't deserve your love ever, any day of the week, ever. If you're an asshole, I don't want you around me. I don't want to be with you. I'm not going to give the best of me to somebody who is bringing out the worst of me or who thinks the worst of me. That's just not going to happen. And that comes from self-worth. Got it? Does that make sense? I hope that helps. All right. Anyway, guys, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe before you go. And I'll see you guys soon. And don't forget, if you want to join us at the Black Wealth Summit in New Orleans, July 1st to the 3rd, right during the Essence Fest, just go to boycewatkins.com. Friday, we're doing speed dating and networking and everything else. That's what my wife wants to do. Saturday, we're doing deep dives with myself, Julian Gordon, and Lene Javette, covering stocks, real estate, and entrepreneurship. Day 3 is VIP day. We'll have a private brunch. We can meet up and talk and stuff like that. So I hope you guys will join us. Just go to my website, boycewatkins.com, if you'd like to go. Or if you're on Instagram, hit the link in the bio. So take care, everybody. Have a good day. Love you, and I'll see you soon. Be good. Peace.